bitch, it ain't even my birthday, but I can ball if I want to. Pull up old cars if I want to. How about that bitch with that on in my jumpsuit? Go.
Here, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Eli the Rebel, back at it again with the NDL Lone Army. This is week 4, episode 4. We pretty much halfway there. In a 7-week season, I don't know what I'm gonna do week 8. We don't really have a week 8, but there will be a video to recap everything, I guess you could say. I don't know. We might do a playoff preview. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. But what I do know for sure is that I will be doing PRs for the Champions of Galar tournament. So please hit the subscribe button so you can follow all that. They're currently drafting. They're either drafting this weekend or they're just trying to make slides right now as we speak right now. But please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the Champions of Galar tournament PRs. But today we're just gonna go over the highlights from week 3, and we just dive in right into the lone list. All right, boom, week 3. So lots of crazy stuff happened in week 3. There was a battle, you know. Hey, shout outs to Karma to bringing up PDL 3, and then it just started becoming a roast fire session in that game. Like nobody was even watching the game. We were just roasting the idea of how bad PDL 3 was. Oh, we're so toxic. But we move on to potential transactions. So, you know, Mega Steelix that's currently on the Iron Will Electros, you know, being coached by Roto Nate and Agent Toad. You know, there are rumors that it might be on the move. It might get replaced by a certain Steel Fairy Mega. We don't know. But it is a rumor. It was a suggestion, so that's gonna be interesting to see if, you know, they'll take the suggestion to change Mega Steelix or not. We'll see. A lot of people think that, you know, NDL is the baby league to NDA, but it's actually NDL was formed first before NDA. But there are NDA players in the NDL, and they're doing very, very well. They haven't, you know, the two, you know, one of them is actually undefeated right now. So again, shout out K Millie Wexford, man. Shout out K Millie Wexford, man. And then, you know, my Keystone and I had our week 2, and y'all thought Gronk was down bad, bro. Look at this screenshot right here. Look at this screenshot right here. Like I'm not even gonna read that out loud. Like what is that? What is that, man? But yeah, we finally got our week 2 battle done for the Bahamian Barracudas, which means we can go over the power rankings for everybody, because everybody played their first battle. And I gotta say, you know, again, I was alluding to it before with, you know, the South Leinster team with Kevin and Wexford. They are surprising the crap out of me. These are guys that primarily play doubles, VGC, whatever you want to call it, and they're undefeated right now. They're undefeated right now, and, you know, for the most part, I think it's due to the fact that they have a really good top 2 in you know, S tier Dragapult and Z Crystal Tarak. You know, one breaks for the other to clean. I love that synergy right there. You know, obviously, you know, the only team that, you know, it's an interesting. You could make the case that the Soul Rock division is better than the Lunatone division. They're definitely more active. However, I think Lunatone just has the better players. You look at, you know, teams like, you know, the Barracudas and the Zilt Strikers. And then, you know, you could make the case that, you know, the 3 and 4 in the Lunatone division are doing a lot better than talent than the 3 and 4 in the Soul Rock division. But again, I could be proven. It's way too early to decide all that. So we'll see if these loans gonna shake things up in the PRs. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. So let's get right into the tier 2 loans that will be coming from tier 1. We have some crazy good mons right here. The first one being Chansey. Historically, everybody, if you don't know what Chansey does, you haven't laddered enough. You simply haven't laddered enough. You look at the HP, right? You look at the SPDEF, slap on an Avaya. Like, this is a special wall out the jump, okay? Like, literally, you're like, it takes Focus Blast like a snack, okay? And then you want to try to wear this thing down with Toxic? No, it gets natural cure. You can just switch out, and then you can try to land Toxic again. So I think the reason why Chansey never gets the reason, first of all, it's always tier 1 because we don't want to give up Chansey for cheap. However, there are other plays around it. There are ways to take this down, and being able to taunt this thing early on is a big help with its only attacking move legitimately being Seismic Toss, which Ghost types can just set up on, especially after Chansey gets taunted. So again, and like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it being an Aviolite holder, it's still going to take all the hazards if you get up, your stealth box and your spikes and things like that, and that will push, the calc, better for your physical monster to hit KO this thing. So Chansey for tier 2 is going to be interesting. We gonna see if anyone's gonna take that. It'll be interesting. We go from a super defensive normal type to a super offensive ghost type in Gengar. This has been a highly anticipated one for me to do, especially since I did the Alakazam one. It was bound to happen, right? The Gengar just got Nasty Plot, just like Alakazam. It's 110 speed exactly, 130 special attack. So after one Nasty Plot, like, this thing's gonna hit like a truck. Again, you have your Nasty Plot sets, you have your Destiny Bond sets, you have your Specs Hex sets, you have, you can trick the Scarf. There's just so many things you can do with Gengar, which is why it was initially in tier 1, but I think it's just too frail to live up to the tier 1 hype, and I think it deserves a shot to be tried out at tier 2 and see where we go from there, for sure. And then the last pick is a very controversial pick. You look at the spread, you look at the stat spread for Hoopa Unbound, and you're like, why are you putting this in tier 2? And the thing with Hoopa Unbound, yes, it hits like a truck physically and specially. The physical side, it gets Hyperspace Fury, which is kind of like the closest thing we had before Wicked Blow, to be honest with you. But 80 base speed isn't the greatest in the world. It isn't the fastest in the world. Like, you can throw on a Scarf to outpace pretty much everything you need to. However, you're losing out on the attacking power if you do so. But there are other sets out there. There's spec sets, there's spec Psyshock. If you're facing up against, for example, a Chansey or a Blissey, you could run Psyshock. 130 SPDEF, you slap on an AV, you can just click multiple buttons at a time. Hoopa Unbound is really best paired with a solid web setter, with that 80 speed, because once mons are sitting on webs, and they take the speed drop and they go to -1 speed, Hoopa Unbound just starts firing on all cylinders. and I think people need to understand that. And I think at tier 2, this is probably the most broken tier 2 loan that I've made so far. But it takes a lot. But at the same time, it takes a lot of, it takes the correct team composition for this to work, for sure. So, Hoopa Unbound, we'll see. We'll see if people will be fighting over that for sure. So those are our 3 tier 2 loans coming over from tier 1. Now we're gonna have 3 tier 3 loans coming over from tier 2, and they're all dragons. Funny enough. The first one being Duraludon. So Duraludon was super hyped to be, it has the steel dragon typing. We haven't seen that typing since what? Dialga? Yeah. So this was supposed to be like a Dialga that you could use on like regular ladder and stuff. The selling points are 120 special attack, 85 speed, 115 defense is decent enough, to smack body press on. Because again, one of the things with the steel dragon typing is the fact that the steel moves can be resisted by steel types. So body press is good coverage for that. Obviously, 95 attack with and it gets Swords Dance, so you could run that set if you're feeling frisky about it. But I think the biggest flaw in Duraludon is the fact that it's 50 Spit F, and the problem with having Steel and Dragon together is the fact that you no longer resist Moonblast. You no longer resist, why did I say Moonblast? You just don't resist Fairy, period. You don't resist Fairy, period. Or Fire, for that matter. So you're going to be, you're going to get 2-hit KO'd by like Specs Moonblast, Specs Flamethrower, things like that with 50 Spit F. Like even AV ain't gonna fix that problem. You know what I'm saying? So, Duraludon, and also it's probably none of the abilities really matter to it, because like you get light metal, heavy metal, but like there's no real moves that like there's no real point in having those abilities for Duraludon anyway. Like maybe if it got like analytic or something, it would be crazy good, but for now I think Duraludon goes to tier 3 for sure. Goodra, on the other hand, now that's a very SpDef mon right here. This is a pseudo legendary that's going to get moved to tier 3. Okay. It has the 80 base speed problem, which means it's not super fast until you put on a choice scarf. But why would you run Scarf Goodra? I don't know, don't ask me. 110 special attack, 100 attack, 90 HP, 70 defense. Again, you want Goodra to be a special wall, not a physical wall, even though it gets body press now. Goodra really has good coverage, and not to mention, it has pretty like niche abilities, you could say, like Gooey is good for the contact moves. You have Sap Sipper for the immunity to grass. And then the last one being hydration. So if you're running a rain team, like Goodra is really good in the rain, and it also boosts the power of surf for those pesky, steel ground types, things like that. Goodra needs more appreciation, honestly. It's one of those mons where like, if you know what moves to put on it each week, if you know what item to put on, how much SpDef you need to put on this thing, it can do a job. It really can do a job. So we'll see how it does in tier 3 this week. And then the last dragon on the list is going to be Zygarde 10%. So in contrast to Zygarde 50, Zygarde 50 is the bulkier of the two, but what Zygarde 10 lacks in bulk, it makes up for speed. Again, I love mods that are above the 110 base speed tier. This is a 115 base with 100 attack, so you could switch around. It's a really good breaker. It's a really good breaker. You can be banded 1,000 arrows, banded extreme speed, banded outrage, or you can even just scarf 1,000 arrows and just claim a life there. The utility it gets, it's still gonna get glare, it's still going to get coil, it's still going to get dragon dance. So you can you don't even need some. There are gonna be some games where you want to clean up rather than be a breaker. Based on those status moves alone. If you pair this thing with a really good breaker of grass and bug types, you pair this thing with a really good flyer to take out those EQ resists, not the EQ resist, those 1,000 arrows resist. Zygarde 10 can be a menace in tier 3. And like I said, it can break the game, it can break holes down on the opposition, or it can just clean up house, depending on the set you run. And if you pick the right set at the right time, oh man. So Zygarde 10 completes the dragon themed tier 3 loans. So we'll quickly go over the tier 4s and 5s really quickly. There's only 2 for each. We got Golem Alola here. Now Golem Alola is an interesting one. So the 2 main selling abilities, sturdy is always nice to have. It's always nice to have, but the really interesting selling point here is the magnet pull. Oh, I forgot to mention, Galvanize used to be was transistor before transistor. Which is boosting the electric type attacks. But the most interesting ability that out of the 3 that Golem Alola has is the magnet pull. Is the magnet pull ability, which can trap steel types. So like you could trap, Corviknights and Skarmories and just hit them with the electric move. Now, the problem with Golem Alola is that, it's a physical electric type. Again, preferences. You obviously want, a special attacking electric type, because Volt Switch is one of the best moves in the game, period. 120 attack is going to help a lot for the rock moves to do its job, obviously. But then the 130 defense. Now, if I am correct, if I am not mistaken, the leaks do say you can use leaked moves, and I think Body Press is one of them for Golem Alola. So, if you can get that validated on Natdex Unrestricted, 130 defense plus Body Press is still going to hit like a truck. So you get Magnet Pull, Body Press. That's gonna be really, really good coverage for Golem Alola. Again, it has the Spadef problem like Duraludon, 65. But I still think this thing can, do a job. If you need to trap a steel bird, you know what I mean? Just grab Golem Alola. Just grab Golem Alola for a cheap discount, Magnezone or Magneton, you know what I'm saying? And then the other tier 4 loan this week is going to go to my boy Stoutland. Now, Stoutland has 2 very good abilities in my opinion. The third one, it's scrappy too. Yeah, so you could say 3. Normally, you have Intimidate, which is really, really nice to have. You have Scrappy, like I mentioned before, but the main selling point for why people want to pick this thing up is if you're running a Sand team, this thing gets Sand Rush. So you have Sand Rush, which doubles your 80 base speed combined with your 110 attack. So now, like, you can make this thing like adamant in the sand if you want to. and with 110 attack, and with the rule of allowing cut moves. So you have 110 adamant return or frustration, whichever one you prefer to use. What 110 adamant return is going to hit like a truck, and obviously with Stoutland being a normal type, it gets access to all sorts of wonderful coverage, such as, you know, elemental fangs, crunch, you know, things of that nature. Stoutland is a good dog. Stoutland is a good boy. I think it's pretty straightforward, honestly. Then the last 2 months for tier 5. Morpico is you know, again, every year every generation we're always going to have Pikachu clones. So for Generation 8, the Pikachu clone is the Morpico. Morpico is 97 base speed, 95 attack, 70 special attack. It gets nasty plot, so like that 70 special attack is actually usable. However, it is super frail with 58s across the board in HP, defense, and SPDEF. However, it is one of the most slept on rapid spinners because you cannot spin block in front of this thing. It is an electric dark type. Ghost types do not want to spin block because they're risking to get, you know, aura wheeled on or crunched on, right? Aura wheel is a button that you can click that boosts your speed, and then like the first turn it's gonna be, you know, an electric type 100 attack move thing, and then when it gets to hangry mode, which is when he becomes like hangry and, you know, purple with the red eyes and stuff like that, Aura Wheel becomes a dark type. So, you know, those ground ghosts, you know, that tier 5 Palisand that y'all love, yeah, can't switch into that. Yeah, you cannot. It's not a switch in for Morpico. No, absolutely not. But yeah, I think Morpico is really, you know, 97 speed is decent enough to, you know, again, after one rapid spin is going to be really nice. And then, you know, fast parting shot as well is very nice. Is a very nice momentum move as well. Outside of Volt Switch, I'm not 100% sure if it gets U-turn as well, but I would prefer parting shot simply because you just don't take helmet damage. So Morpico for tier 5, and then the last mon is going to be Mr. Trump himself, the Gumshoes. Now the Gumshoes. Now people forget that. Okay, so adaptability is a thing on Gumshoes, right? Adaptability, strong jaw are you know, solid abilities itself, but it has an exclusive hidden ability, Stakeout. Now Stakeout, the only other mon that gets Stakeout is Thievul in Generation 8. So in Alola, the only mon that got Stakeout is Gumshoes. Now when the opponent switches out, Stakeout makes it so that way that makes your attacks, you know, it doubles your attack power if your opponent switches out. So if for whatever reason you decide to preserve a sack, let's say, right? Let's say like you decide to preserve the sack and then try to switch in on try to take a move you know, from Gumshoes. You know, the move's gonna have double power because you switched out. Okay, so, and with 110 attack, again, I mentioned this before about, you know, 110 base attack adamant with Stoutland. Okay, you make that stat, right? You make this a bulky band adamant with max HP, max attack. Those retaliates, those returns, those elemental fangs for the coverage, even stopping tantrum for the steals and rock types that want to resist. They're gonna hit. Okay, they really gonna hit. So don't switch out in front of this thing. Don't switch out in front of Bandit Trump over here. Okay, just don't. And I think tier 5 is a rightful place for this demon. No question about it. And with that is your whole list this week. A very wild list for sure. A lot of controversial things that shouldn't be down there, but here we are in week 4 of doing this series. It's only gonna get crazier from here at this point. So, take advantage of this list, please. Take advantage of this list, bro. Comment down below which mon is your favorite, or which one you would pick up for yourself. And with that, it's been your boy Eli the Rebel. I'll catch you guys next week. Deuces.